Hey everybody, it's your girl Queen Genius. Today I'm making my special gourmet burgers and gourmet fries. What I'm just going to do is show you a variation on a couple of burgers that I've had, and I've liked the flavors together, so I decided to put them together, and this is my version. I hope you enjoy. In this skillet I have my onions already cooking. I sliced up 2 medium to small onions. I sliced them up really thin. And in my skillet, I have a mixture of butter and basil flavored olive oil. These are going to get soft, and this is going to be my caramelized onions. I've had them cooking for a few minutes, and I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce and give that a good stir. And I'm going to let these cook down just a little bit. I've got the temperature on medium to medium low. We don't want to cook them too fast. We want them to caramelize, not burn. And they've been cooking for about 5 minutes now. And as you can see, they start picking up that color immediately. And what I'm going to do now is I have about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, and I'm actually only going to add about 1 tablespoon. And I'm going to stir that up a little bit. Now I only want to add a tablespoon at a time because I want to see how well it coats. You don't want to put too much because you don't want it to be overly sweet. And that's another reason for adding the Worcestershire, to give it that saltiness. But you want to make sure that it caramelizes pretty well. And as you can see, they're already starting to change colors a little bit. I'm going to let this cook down for another 5 minutes, and then I'll decide. I'm going to pull out an onion and see if it's too sweet or not. And that'll let me know whether or not to add the other tablespoon. Now it's up to you. You can add both tablespoons right away, or you can hold off. It depends on how sweet you like your caramelized onions. But this is how they look, and I'll show you when they're done. So this is what my onions look like after they've been caramelized. And yes, I switched to a smaller pan. I did end up adding the other tablespoon of sugar, and they came out just perfect. Over here, I have my bacon going. It's a garlic, black pepper flavored bacon, medium cut. I'm going to get those going for the burgers. And also, I'm going to add these 2 ingredients to my burgers as well. This is my fig compote. It's a sweet fig preserve, and it was kind of thick, so what I did was I added a little bit of lemon juice to it to thin it down some, to make it so that it doesn't rip the bread apart when I spread it on the bread, and to make it so that it's not so chunky and heavy in the mouth. And in this bowl, I have a mixture of mayo, ketchup, roasted garlic powder, black pepper, a tiny bit of salt, and I added a little bit of that smoked seasoning I have to kind of round it out, and I've just mixed that up together. Both of these items are going to go on top of my burger when we're done. Okay, so that's that for the condiments for now. I also have some dried shiitake mushrooms that are soaking in a bowl to get them hydrated, and we're going to saute these off a little bit later. It's not a lot. I'm the only one in the house that likes mushrooms on their burgers. So this is what I have so far, and we're almost ready to go. Okay, so in this bowl, I have 2 cuts of ground beef. I don't know if you can tell by the color. This one here is a 85-15%. I know we had this conversation a little while ago with the meatloaf that I was making. So I have an 85-15 and 73-24, 27, something like that, cut. I wanted to use a different mixture to help with the flavor of the burger and the fat, so I don't have to add a lot of fat to it. So this is the cut that I use. Again, you can use any cut you want. You can use ground turkey, ground chicken, ground veal. ground pork, you want to make pork burgers, it's up to you. What first I'm going to do is add about 2 teaspoons of Worcestershire sauce. Love that stuff. I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper, about a tablespoonful. Again, you know, you guys know I freeform. I don't pre-measure unless I'm baking, but if you feel more comfortable, it's about a teaspoonful of pepper. And also, I know you're wondering what that is in the bowl. I have about 6 cloves of roasted garlic that I've chopped and smashed and put that at the bottom. That's going to help add a little bit of flavor. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, about teaspoon and a half. Again, I kind of eyeball it. I kind of know. My secret weapon, which I like, again, I think my husband thinks I'm nuts, but a little bit of Sazon. And I'm just going to add half a pack for the amount of meat that I have. I don't want to overpower it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of paprika. And this one, the same thing. You want to add about a teaspoonful. You don't want too much. You don't want to overpower it. And you really, like I said, it's mostly there for the color. I also am going to add my new fave, the Smokehouse Maple Seasoning. Again, it'll give it that smoky flavor, kind of like fresh off the grill. And I want to add about a tablespoon of this. And this is why I don't add that much salt, because this has a little bit of salt in it. And you know I don't cook anything without garlic, fresh and or powder. And I'm going to add just a little bit of roasted garlic and herb seasoning as well. And you know, for those who don't like, you know, the whole garlic pieces, you can go ahead and omit this part and just add a little bit more of the powdered garlic flavor. I know a lot of people like garlic, but they don't like to bite down on it. I actually like both. And actually, because it's roasted, it's already kind of soft. It's going to melt once you put it in the skillet. A lot of people add eggs, breadcrumbs, and binders to their burgers. I feel like that takes away from the flavor. So again, the same rule applies like with the meatloaf. You don't want to over mix. So what I'm going to do is going to kind of grab at the garlic, push the meat into it a little bit. So what you end up getting is flecks of garlic throughout the meat. And you want, like I said, you want to mix it till it's just combined. You do not want to over mix this, especially the type of blend that you have, especially if you're using ground turkey. You want to handle that the least amount possible because it will toughen it up. And there we have it. It's all mixed. Now, the size of the burgers depends on who you're feeding, how many people you're feeding, and if you do a lot of portion control, I suggest normal size, probably about the tennis ball, maybe about the size of your palm. You want to make them like this if you're making more than one burger per person. But my husband and I've opted out to just do one burger. So what I'm going to do is about this much plus half of that. And you want to get it into a ball shape. Again, try not to work it too much because, you know, the warmer that it gets, the more tough it is. You want to try to keep it as cold as possible. So you want to get it about maybe, I don't know, what would you call this? Maybe a small softball size.
Yeah.
A little bit bigger. And again, if you have smaller hands, of course, it's going to look a little bit different. But you want to get it to about this size. And you want to press it out. Again, try not to overwork it. You want to keep it in a circular shape. And this is my trick to burgers cooking without them puffing up, and make sure they cook evenly. Put a little hole in the middle. And that way, as you can see the hole a little bit, it keeps it evenly cooked. And you're going to put these on the stove, and you want to let them into a hot skillet. In my skillet, I already have a little bit of flavored olive oil, the same oil that I use to cook the onions with. Again, you want to kind of get all the flavors together. One flavor you use for one item, so that way everything comes together perfectly. I have a little bit of regular olive oil and then the flavored olive oil. And I'm going to let these cook in the skillet. I'm going to brown them on both sides and then let them just get that nice little crust on them. And then I'm going to stick them in the oven for about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And again, that also depends on how you like your burgers. If you like them well done, you want to keep them in there for about 15 minutes because you got them on the stove for about 5 minutes, about 2.5 minutes per side. Anything less than that, you kind of vary. You'll be able to tell when you're cooking it how long you want to leave it for. So that's the start of our burger. I'll show you when we're done. This is what they look like all done. You see I got a nice caramelization on them. And as you can see, one of them is plain. That's my daughter. She doesn't like the garlic in hers. But this is what they look like once they've been browned on both sides in the skillet for about 5 minutes. Now we're going to put them in a 375-degree oven for another 10 to 15 minutes. Here's what my burgers look like after being in the oven for about 15 minutes. I've added the cheese, the bacon, the onions, and the mushrooms. So the ones that I'm going to eat. And now we're going to put them back in the oven for another 5 minutes, just long enough to let the cheese melt. And here's what it looks like all together. That's the fig jam and the mayo mixture I made and I topped it with baby arugula lightly dressed in a citrus vinaigrette with a little bit of lemon olive oil. There you have it, my gourmet burgers. Here's what they look like coming straight out of the oven. And as always, thanks for watching. For all of you gamers, check out Kid Genius, KIDDJEANYUS. And all you makeup ladies, Lady Semo1, LADYSEEMO, and the number 1. Peace and blessings.